Welcome, everyone. This is Michael Gibbs. I have Christopher Johnson, Elonzo Coleman, and my extremely good friend, Imran Tauqir. And tonight we have a new Head in the Cloud episode, and it's going to be about cloud networking training. We're going to talk about Aviatrix. We'll talk about Aviatrix Multi Cloud and networking and cloud computing, so it's going to be really, really fun. You may hear us talk about Aviatrix Control. We may talk about multi-cloud networking. We'll talk about multi-cloud connectivity, which is going to be fun. These are obviously cloud computing technical skills. These are networking skills training. And let me tell you, we may get a little geeky tonight. I may take off my CEO hat, put my old school network engineer hat, or my network architect hat and get geeky with Imran. But so we're going to be fun. This for cloud architects. This is critical cloud architect training. This is cloud networking training and, serious critically cloud architect skills. So it's going to be a fun cloud networking overview. And we'll talk about cloud infrastructure architect and, a lot of fun. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm the founder and CEO of Go Cloud Careers. And I've been working in tech now for 25 years since I left internal medicine. And the reality is I've been helping people get their first tech job. I get promoted in tech for more than 2 decades, and it's been a lot of fun. I'm here exclusively, constantly to help you guys get cloud hired. We're also on Twitch right now, I'm told, and potentially more places. I don't know what my team's doing in the back end, but it's pretty exciting.
I'm spilling my drink everywhere is what I'm doing. And literally as soon as in case anybody's wondering what I'm doing, running around like a madman over here, I spilled my drink as soon as we went live. So that's...
So there you go. He's running around spilling his drink, so they're on this. I'm also going to tell you drinking? I'll tell you a few more things, and we're going to get down and geeky tonight, and it's going to be fun. He's got some Coca-Cola over there. I've got bottled water. I got a new water dispenser. I'm coming to my house, and now I've got a free supply of cold water. Well, not free. And then hot water, because my buddy went to Jamaica, and he got me some Blue Mountain tea. So I've got Blue Mountain coffee, so some of that, and I've got some green tea as well.
As you see, my bottle is now empty, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah. Hope you got another 5 in that 6-pack left, Chris.
Well, it's all on the floor now.
So it's all on the floor. Do you guys see what I work with around here? Chris and Elonzo, my 2 C-level executives beside me, and we're spilling water on the floor. I love them both and can imagine the world without. So we're gonna have some fun here. So before we get into Imran and I getting in the weeds, and I'll introduce Imran, and you'll know why I know him so well and love him so much, and I'm so happy to have him here. And he also teaches my cloud engineers as well. He's pretty fantastic in so many ways. But we'll go through some housekeeping. On Thursday, we have a completely free How to Get Your First Cloud Architect Job webinar. And if you want your first cloud architect job or your first cloud engineering job, come to this webinar. We will tell you how to leverage your life experience to show the hiring manager they need to hire you. We will tell you what hiring managers dream about in the perfect employee, so you'll know exactly how to wow them on an interview. I will tell you what needs to be on your resume, the things you need to know, the certifications that help you versus the certifications that hurt you, and it goes both ways. I'll tell you what needs to be on your resume, and I'll teach you how to skip those pesky HR people that are in the way of you getting hired, so you can go straight to the hiring manager and get hired. I'll tell you right now that we've got about 15 magazine articles coming up in the next 6 weeks or so from big magazines that have asked us to write documents for them. I've got, I think, 11 more blogs on how to interview for cloud architect and solution architect careers. So please follow us on LinkedIn, follow the company, and me. We're going to distribute this content on LinkedIn. And all that content's free, and it's designed to help you in your career. I'm also told from my team, I've got to remind you that right now we are running a 30% off coupon code for everything we have. I know inflation's sky high, and when we bump up your salary, guess what? It won't bother you anymore. So you just have enough money that you won't care what any of it is. So, we're running the coupon code potential for 30% off. It applies to our cloud architect program if you want to be a cloud architect, our cloud engineer program if you want to be a cloud engineer, and our Tech Career Accelerator program if you're looking to get promoted in tech. So, and keep that in the back of your mind. And we also are running a LinkedIn and resume webinar. You can find out about that in the link in the description below. My students don't apply for jobs. You heard it from Delray Bad. He never worked in tech before. No tech experience. And he just got his first cloud security architect job, and he's an amazing guy, super smart and capable and incredibly competent. And he said, why would I apply? After Mike fixed my resume, the vultures came at me, and I was turning down job offers. So if you want to be like our students, attend one of our resume and LinkedIn webinar workshops. But I'm going to tell you this. You're going to get a lot of hammering. You're going to be hammered by recruiters trying to hire you, so make sure your skills are up to date too. So now that I talked about all these things, let's talk about why I have Imran here.
Right, yeah, that's why I'm here. I don't know about anybody else.
So those of you that don't know, I see Saeed as well from Cisco. He's fantastic. So those of you that don't know, Imran and I are both, original old school networking people. My CCIE number is 7417. Imran's is a little higher, but he was crazy enough to do it twice. Now, Imran has worked hardcore engineering his entire life, and he's also done some architecture work, but he is a hardcore engineer, and I'm more of an executive architect. Mr. CEO, how are you today? Tell me about your business, etc. So when the world is where I come from, we executive level architects, when we get back, we interview our clients, we ask them 1,000,001 questions, we get requirements, we go back to the team, and then what we do, we find the Imrans of the world to go help us really design it and make sure it's going to work. So the Imrans of the world have saved me as an architect for the last 25 years. Imran worked in this network consulting engineering team at Cisco. You want to know who those people are? I'm going to tell you right now. They are the people that we go to when we need somebody to build it, fix it, implement it, or we need the best and the brightest. So that's where Imran comes from. He also worked at Juniper Networks. He has knowledge on all cloud platforms, extraordinary knowledge, both in terms of engineering and architecture, and he's a good friend of mine. And, when you go to Cisco and Juniper and you're part of both of those companies, it's no joke to get hired by either one.
Thanks, Mike. And as I said, still continuous learning. So learning never stops. So even Cisco, Juniper, security, now you're learning cloud, multi-cloud all together. So journey is continuously non-stop.
So before we get into the meat, I think Khalid has the most important question of the night. Yes. He says, "Is Mike and Imran living room in the same house?" We love that piano back there.
Imran flew down to Florida to hang out with Mike.
Yeah,
I wish you guys would. Delray came to visit me.
Yeah.
Delray came to visit me and, helped me buy a TV. He ended up at Best Buy with me. I don't know, a month later, he's got 3 cloud security architect jobs. He turned down 2 of them and he accepted the 3rd one.
Yeah. So we got Imran stealing Mike's piano. And then and Leo says, before you spill your drink, hit the like button. So anyway, I wanted to pop those in. And of course, everybody's saying hello. I didn't catch this news. Apparently, Dylan says there was a 1-point rate hike up in Canada. I know that the U.S. Treasury is meeting. I think, was it today or tomorrow?
It looks like we're going to get a pretty big rate.
Oh yeah. Anyway, sorry, I just wanted to interrupt and figure out who the piano thief was.
In this case, it's Imran, one of our beautiful virtual backgrounds that we use. This one, Elonzo designed for me a while back. I kind of like it. It's all blue. But Elonzo's got some cool graphics that we're going to be using. So who knows? Maybe some things will look a little funnier and fancier and prettier because Elonzo's graphic skills are amazing. He helps make everything look better, be better in every way. So we're happy for that. But today we're going to talk about Aviatrix and Aviatrix Multi Cloud and multi-cloud networking. So Imran, let's talk about networking from a perspective of you and me. You and I worked on the first clouds. Did you work on the ISDN cloud?
Yeah.
The frame relay cloud?
Yes, I do.
The ATM cloud?
Yes, I do. X25.
Yeah. The RFC 2547 BGP cloud with the MPLS switch backbone?
Correct. Absolutely.
How about a VPLS cloud?
Yeah.
Were you making martini tunnels and layer 2 tunnels and creating pseudo wires?
Absolutely.
Imran's checking all the boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Multi-homing to like 10 different internet service providers at the same time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Working on systems for the world's largest banks, healthcare organizations, and everybody else too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Same customer now. Now, the only difference is they're moving their footprint going to the cloud. And cloud, as you said, I like your comments, cloud is another data center. So,
Yeah, and your network architects really, those of us from the beginning, they're like, we were helping to design the cloud. So it's all been our life. So let's talk about the modernness, and we're going to get into it of networking. So about a year ago, AWS introduced something special. They made a massive announcement. They now allowed east-west routing. And it was like legendary. When was the first time you knew about east-west routing being used in networking?
Oh, it was a long time back.
Was it in 1980 or 1985?
Well, now you're trying to get him to age himself. Come on now, Mike. That's how you say.
And I saw a couple amazing press releases in the last 2 weeks. A principal solution architect posted, now you can run IPsec over a direct connection or a private line. When did you do that for the first time?
Long time back. Long time
back. For me, I think it was 1999.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was cool, really cool then.
Even the BGP is been more than 20 years back, but the cloud was not exist.
Exactly.
Yeah. So so I think basically the customer assume the cloud provider will provide them everything. That's the main thinking. They provide the compute, they provide the network and storage security at an enterprise grade level, at a reduced cost. But for what I learned from data center to enterprise grade networking, the cloud providers focus on only an application layer.
Yes.
And network and security infrastructure is not a CSP focus. It's not a main revenue for them. And networking construct and require a lot of manual effort. There are a lot of shortcomings we will discuss. With a lot of shortcomings for BGP, a lot of shortcomings and you don't have that kind of lack of visibility and troubleshooting capabilities while you're having some outage. Like if there is an outage, you will call your support guy, will not call your AWS, and your support guy have very limited tools. You cannot telnet some of the networking device, but AWS construct. You cannot ping trace other stuff while you're having a single cloud, even the single cloud or multi-cloud. So what the traditional vendors doing, they're repacking on-prem hardware to the cloud, but that's not valid because of some of the constraint and no understanding of CSP APIs and cloud routing. So, and they just put this large instances and reduce performance. Like typically, if you need to install a next gen firewall, east-west traffic, north-south traffic is very complicated. It's extremely complicated. We call it service insertion, and you need a very SME subject matter expert, understand the cloud, understand the networking, and of course, understanding the firewall construct. And it's very difficult, extremely difficult.
It is. And I'm going to stop you there for a minute to try and go over some of these things. So the lack of knowledge of what's going on in networking. When Cisco NetFlow in about 2000 gave us information about what's going on. AWS Flow Logs 2022 new press release a few weeks ago. Hey, you can figure out what your traffic to a degree looks like in a transit gateway. So that's about 22 years old. Now, if we had really good networking options in the cloud, and if we had control, we wouldn't need to do what we have to do to get networking things to function in the cloud. We'll talk about Imran later, why companies would have 1,000 VPCs, for example. But when he's talking about putting these firewalls in, real firewalls that are actually secure, because the networking is so weird, it puts us in a position where we've got to do workaround to a workaround to a workaround to make anything good in the cloud. And that's what, when we get into advanced networking and advanced security, and not what they talk about in the certification, but reality, is wait, the cloud doesn't do this, the cloud doesn't do this, the cloud doesn't do this, the cloud doesn't do this.
And especially when you're moving to your workloads to spoke VPC, when I say spoke VPC, like application VPC or your financial bank, they need to have more security. They need to have network segmentation across region. They need to have segmentation northwest, east, west. So, and they want to encrypt anything, so everything from your on-prem to cloud, and one cloud to another cloud, so GCP. And when you have one cloud to second cloud to third cloud. So I have some by 2000, the Gartner said just 2025, 30%, 35% of the companies use public cloud and provide single network stack. So their footprint is increasing. Of course, your customer requirement is also enhancing. They need more security. They need more agility. Of course, they need this to be automated. They need to have a skill to understand this. So, and of course, they need to have a high performance encryption end to end.
Totally encryption end to end. So, just somebody asked, would this stuff be covered in the CISP? And I just want to make it clear, no certification covers any of the things that you need to do to be a good architect like this. Yeah. This is architect. So architect stuff. So going in and delving into some of these things. So the cloud could never perform as well as a traditional network and data center, because on the cloud, we don't have QoS. Here's what QoS is. We've got one network pipe for the rest of you guys that are out there, and we've got 4 of us in here. Now, if I say, Chris, he's my COO, so he's my number 2, right? Elonzo's my other C-level executive, he's number 3, and Imran's my good friend, he's number 4. So with our network, we can prioritize when we've got network congestion, send me first, Chris second, Elonzo third, and Imran fourth. We can't do that on the cloud. We can't do any kind of signaling on the cloud. We don't know if the cloud provider's networking is up and operational, or if not, whatever they're going to give us is impaired. I like to view the cloud as kind of like this. Imran could build you a network in a data center in your own private cloud and design it that would perform so high without all these networking problems. And I like to view that as the grandmother chef or the grandfather chef. We all have some grandmother or grandfather that used to cook every single day, that took honor and pride in cooking, and they were just so great at it. And then we also have like a fast casual restaurant, like an Applebee's or a TGI Fridays, where we go in there and we get a burger. And that's good, right? And the price is reasonable, but it's never as good as that grandmother. In our private clouds, we can get that grandmother level performance or grandfather performance. In the public cloud, it's fast casual. It's designed to be good enough for most people's ordinary needs, and they don't focus on the network. So let's talk about networking segmentation. Normally, and what we need to do is we create a LAN or a VLAN or a subnet. We put that in a dedicated place. We put an access control list. We may put those VLANs in a private VLAN where nobody can talk to anybody unless we allow it. So we can't have worms or viruses. We can put QoS on our network, and we can control what goes on. Can we do any of that in the cloud, Imran?
Not using the native construct, definitely. So there are some, as you said, there are some tools available. As you mentioned, the Aviatrix, they have some gateways, they have some controllers, smart controllers, which can provide the segmentation, different kind of segmentation from on-prem to cloud, different VPC across. And we're not talking about it like a GCP or not AWS. If you have a segmentation on GCP, or if you need to speak to your GCP VPC from AWS, the same controller can help. So otherwise, if you go for different clouds, they have interpretability issues. So if you use for Aviatrix gateway controllers, they're all across single architecture and single framework. You can use the same kind of security. And so when you say security in a depth, not security on a spoke level, security on your transit level backbone, and security on your on-prem. So end-to-end security, you need it, and that's what the customer required. And you cannot deploy everywhere, every aspect of firewall, next-gen firewall. That's quite pricey as well. So you use different tools and different techniques to do the segmentation. You have there are ingress routing. Some of the VPC need to go to the internet, and so you need to have some kind of ingress routing or ingress filtering over there. Yeah, there are some limitation. They have the AWS have a guard duty. So it's a combination of different products. So native CSP have some limitation, but while you're if using the Aviatrix, there are certain tools, and you can deploy those tools, controllers, and smart gateways, and you can control these kind of segmentation all across single region, multi-cloud, 2 cloud, 3 cloud, or 4 cloud. So, and you have single pane of visibility by using this their software.
Okay, so let's get into, before we get into the Aviatrix, and everybody give me a hashtag Aviatrix.
Yeah, there we go.
Come on, because Aviatrix
Right.
is really cool.
Okay.
Give me a hashtag Aviatrix.
I got a question about Aviatrix before we get into the stuff that's just going to fly over my head. Can someone? So I love their logo. It's like it's an ace of is it ace of spades or ace of hearts? I can't remember.
It's ace of spades.
Is there aside from the fact that that's an amazing song by Motorhead? Can someone explain if there's like a meaning or a reason that Aviatrix uses the ace of spades as Aviatrix logo? If not, I just think it's really cool that Aviatrix chose to take the ace of spades and run with it.
What I know, I've been following with them for a while, and they got the market share, and I know there will be an IPO next year. So and they have 500 plus customer, and they're the only one in the market have this kind of solution. And I've been using their solution. We can demo it, and the product they have it enormous. So I don't know the background of that logo. I may check with one of my friends. So what is the background? But they are really on the cloud, and everybody have.
So I know traditionally, like the ace of spades is like the top dog. It's the highest valued card in that.
Yeah, they are highest. They are number one.
Yeah.
So that
the public cloud, and they are covering all the gaps, networking gaps, what we are talking about, and they are filling those gaps. Those native construct have it, and they are filling those gaps at the right time. And customer really want it because they need to have this kind of visibility. And I've shown to Mike. I don't have a demo at that time. The amount of visibility you have on the Copilot, one of their best products. So that is really awesome.
Well,
I personally deploy the
file. I'm going to ask you some Aviatrix things, but let's talk about the reasons. So people are creating all these VPCs to microsegment their network, right?
Yeah.
Okay. In the data center, we'd create our subnets. In the cloud, we're creating VPCs and we're gluing them together. And then we're using BGP, and then we're trying to do some filtering of what we allow and not allow. That's just cool. Kind of reminds me of a BGP confederation that we used to use to not have so many IBGP peers all over the place, which I know Imran knows all kinds about. But so we've got these massive number of VPCs. So Imran and I can tell you in the IBGP non-transitive world, we're fully meshing our things. Now, I'm not good at math, but I do know how to use my calculator. So you got 100 VPCs, which is nothing. And you want to fully mesh them, we've got 100 times. So the formula is n times n minus 1 divided by 2. So we've got 100 times 99. Wait, n times, yeah. So 100 times 99 divided by 2. So with 100 VPCs, we now have 4,950 VPC connections. So first, you think we could have some network engineer typing all these things and then creating the BGP sessions? No, it's going to have to be infrastructure as code who is ever deploying them. There. But that's the problem. But then what we need to do is we need to do a hub and spoke model. Now for Aviatrix people who are all from Cisco and Juniper like me and Imran, they think IBGP. What do? We have a route reflector and we come around with strategies. What do you think?
Same concept. Absolutely.
It's a route reflector.
Absolutely.
And when I look at these things and say, hey, we can't prioritize our traffic, this is what do we do? Now we can't see our traffic. We have almost no idea what's going on in terms of our wide area network on the cloud because there's almost no visibility to it. we don't see, we don't know, there's a problem. And then the security of the cloud is just not as good as the data center. We can make it almost as good as the data center, but in the data center, we can do anything we need. We could hire Navy SEALs to do physical security outside our building if we wanted. I mean, we could do anything in our own data center. Again, it's that, master chef versus the commodity product, but the cloud's still good security. And it's more agile and it's more digital transformation because of the speed and agility. So it still makes sense, but it's a matter of just which way we look at the world. So that's where Aviatrix comes in, right, Imran?
Yeah. So even for the BGP, the native construct have some limitation.
Let's talk about those limitations, which are a massively weak limitation.
The maximum you can advertise 100 routes to VPC. So that is the limitation for the AWS. So basic and the BGP, the basic routing construct is available, and the limit of the route exchange I mentioned 100, and control what is advertised, what is not, and of course throughput and security. So and of course it's not zero trust, because if you're on the 10G direct connect, not everything is encrypted. And traffic engineering is nothing new for us, as you said. So very limited options for when you use the BGP.
But let's talk about that direct connect real fast.
Yeah.
So normally with the private line, I buy a wire to Imran's house. That's our private line. With the direct connect, it's not that way. You buy a private line to this point of presence, then they cross connect you to a switch, and the switch backhauls your traffic over a shared network with a VLAN tag. So they're creating a layer 2 VPN for you, but is it possible to hack from VLAN to VLAN? Not easy. Really hard, but anything could be done. So so it's not exactly a private line. It's almost a private line, but not exactly. And also, if AWS has congestion on their backbone, you may not get whatever speed you had. So let's get to the next one, Imran.
Yeah. So then you have a limit for 1.2 Gbps for the encryption, because you have all software-based IPsec VPN have a maximum performance of 1.2 Gbps, and packet can only utilize single core despite of availability of multiple cores. So software routers utilize single core and establish only one tunnel. So that's one of the limitation as well.
Exactly. So with ASIC-based routers, this is a lot better. But now we're dealing with a lot of these routers that run everything on a single thread, so they only use a single core of the Xeon CPU they have. And you can have a 10 gig link, but you can't push more than 1.25 gigabit per second, because we're dealing with devices that are not exactly designed to do it. Commodity hardware. Now, is that anything 1.25 gigabit per second max throughput?
Yeah.
It's nothing.
On the native construct. So if you deploy the Aviatrix gateways, you can have 70 to 90 Gbps. You can have multiple tunnels. So that's one of the key thing is, because encryption, you want to have like 10 GB direct connect link, and you're not utilizing that. So
while we're at it, I'm going to let everybody know I'm expecting a lot more questions today. Yeah. So we're going to talk less and do more questions tonight, because we're going to get pretty geeky in networking. And unless you guys come from the old world of networking, we expect lots of questions.
Yeah, Phil, just let me know when you want me to pivot to a question or two, and I'll start throwing them in there for you guys.
I'd go a little more about what this Aviatrix is, and then have Imran really talk about how it works, and then I want to get into some questions.
Hey, I'm here. I know nothing about Aviatrix, so I'm right here with you to figure it out.
I adopted it earlier on, even though I was very green, and decided to get the certification for what a certified engineer, but that was kind of like my first toe dip into networking and understanding how it all connects from a multi-cloud perspective. So it was really, really interesting. But yeah, I digress. I'm going to leave it to the pros.
Oh yeah, I could listen all day about this.
Yeah, it's like dealing with networking. It's kind of like this intimidating monolith, but as you continue to learn and grow in it all day, it becomes more intriguing to me, more interesting. So I definitely want to, I don't know if I'll ever be a CCIE level, but I'll definitely go as high as I can to learn as much from these two gentlemen so I can be world-class networker.
I have pretty much all the certs they have, and I keep writing blogs and other stuff for them. So as you said, like there are a few components they have, like of course the controllers, who's the brain, and of course the gateways, which are your core network, your backbone, and these are the two things. And of course the co-pilot, their management system and their visibility, and you can do a very a detailed kind of VPC route. What are the next hop will be, and how the BGP routing will be, and how you troubleshoot with one point to another point. So
okay, so let me start from the beginning. What is the Aviatrix controller? What does the Aviatrix controller do?
Aviatrix controllers provide onboarding all the accounts. Like this is the main brain. Like if I can example of like SD-WAN controllers. So this is the controller decide everything from a routing perspective. So this is a control function, and of course the gateway will use as a data function for transferring the data. So as you learn, like the control and data plane are separate. So the gateways are doing the data plane, and the controllers will do the control function, the routing functions, and you onboard all AWS accounts. You onboard on your as soon as you onboard on your AWS account, your all VPC will be seen, and you deploy those gateways. There are two kind of gateways. There's the transit gateways, which hold the backbone, and of course spoke gateways, which have the application, and you have a direct connectivity for application, spoke gateway to transit, and transit to on-prem.
Okay, so thinking about this, and Imran, I have a slide. Is that acceptable to share, or is that one we can't share?
No, you can share. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to show this what this looks like for a minute. Does everybody realize what Imran was talking about? So this Aviatrix is a SASE/SDN play, software-defined networking play. It's that separation of the control plane, which is done kind of like, I almost like to look at it and view it as like a satellite in the sky that's keeping track of where all the traffic is, best way to get your systems through the network. And then the routers do the forwarding, as opposed to normally the routers have their own control plane, which is their BGP, their OSPF, their intermediate systems, etc. So really cool. This is the future in networking. Everything's going this direction because we get almost private line like performance over the internet.
So I got a quick question real fast. If you're not familiar with me out there in the interwebs, I know nothing about networking and cloud computing. I'm the business guy. I run the operations of the company. So
no,
but
business is very important. So you have to understand the business requirement before you design anything.
So I'm curious for me, what I'm envisioning after what you just said is something like an old school audio-visual receiver, an AV receiver, that you plug in all your devices to get to your TV, and you can control it from that one receiver. Is that kind of what we're talking about here? Where
I think they're more intelligent.
Oh yeah, no, obviously a lot more intelligent. But from an end user perspective, I use my receiver to control my DVD player, my record player, my CD player.
Basically, control everything. The controllers will control everything on your domain, on your cloud domain, and make all kind of a decision. And you import all your accounts to the controller, and all the assets, all the VPC will be seen on that controller. Okay. And you do this everything on the controller, and of course you deploy this based on, as Mike says, not 2 or 3 VPCs. You deploy this on a Terraform cloud or Terraform,
Right.
That's another topic.
I had to bring it down to a very low tech level for me. So that's all right.
Is the
Mike,
controller? It's a VM. You deploy it. You understand the virtual machine. You deploy on the specific management VPC to control it, and you add the gateways on your transit VPC. These
Now,
all VMs.
I know the question was asked. I'm going to ask you, and then we can share the screen. Now, typically speaking, with controllers, you typically need at least 3 for most control plane activity.
No. I think one should be good enough. But if you're really going all across multiple agent global, you might need another one. But typically, I don't see multiple controllers because your data function still works. So on a data plane, you definitely, for HA, you need to have 2 gateways. So
just wasn't sure. This is not something I've worked with in the past. That's why I'm so thrilled you're going over the Aviatrix solution. But I know how you have 3 controllers to an OpenStack cloud, and generally speaking, 3 controllers to anything because you need.
There are 2 components. Yeah, sorry. The controllers and the Copilot, the management and the visibility tool. They 2 tools. Yeah. And of course, the gateways based on the 2 HA on every VPC you want it.
So Chris, can you let's do this real quick, and then we'll get back to the content. But I really want Imran to explain this chart. I've got a chart pulled up. Can you share that? And then Imran can. And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to maximize this window. Hopefully, that'll make it better. Nope, I can't do that because when I do that, I literally speaking.
Can I share?
Yeah, could you just walk your way through this and kind of explain, where the controllers are, what the transit's doing here?
Yeah. So these, if you see, these are the VPCs, right? So on the top hand, the Amazon, these are the gateways. I show them one, but typically you deploy 2 gateways on the top. So two gateways on the prod domain and 2 gateways on the dev domain. So these are the gateways. I don't see the controllers here. These are all the gateways, and this is the spoke. If you talk about the VPC application layer, we call it a spoke gateways, and this is spoke VPC, and this is of course the Microsoft VNet spoke VNet, followed by GCP. So all the top thing is an application layer. And that's application layer, and those are the gateways. And this is like a cloud layer, network layer. These are the transit gateways, and it should be deployed by typically 2, as mentioned on that. So 2 gateways here, and they're all connected, provide high end encryption, and the same thing. So, and if you go further. The controller is not shown here. Typically, they are on the management, and a separate VPC is not shown here. Controller and the Copilot. So the gateways talk to they are connected with the transit, and of course there are different there's another advanced NAT, and there is another appliance that they have for cloud and appliance. This is like a physical appliance. The rest is the virtual appliance. And if you see this, we're showing on this, we are integrating with your SD-WAN to the VNet, and you deploy this SD-WAN controller and connecting with your transit BGP over LAN. When you say BGP over LAN, normal BGP, and you provide this SD-WAN connectivity here as well. You can provide the same level of SD-WAN connection on there. So all these are you showing in red are gateways. They are on the different level. They're on the network layer. This is on the spoke layer. This is exactly what Mike just described. This is like hub and a spoke environment, and they all connected with a high performance insane mode. They call it all together. Does it make sense, Mike?
I think that was really great. Chris, you can bring us back on screen. I just, someone asked for a photo, and I thought it would be helpful. And Imran just understands the Aviatrix technology so well. So Love that. And
Mm.
I mean, I want to put it into context with regards to how limited the routing is. And I also want you to understand it's not because there's anything wrong with the cloud providers. If Imran or I were to do a BGP session with 3 internet service providers, we'd be taking in 800,000 routes from each. When Imran said we can only have 100 routes over a direct connection and 1,000 routes with regards to VPC peering, it's nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nothing. Now, I don't mention I think I'm going to say AWS is doing something wrong. They're not. Imagine how many thousands and millions of customers they have that are each giving them 100 routes. There's always a limitation. You can't get faster than the speed of light. I mean, you're always going to run out of memory or something. There's always going to be the limitation. So it's not that they're doing anything wrong. It's just that when enterprises need that full functionality, they need more than a cookie cutter solution. And going from the cloud, the data center, which they can customize anything, to the cloud, which is cookie cutter, it takes a lot of workarounds on the cloud to get similar performance. It should never get as close to the data center, but similar performance. And a lot of these businesses need this critical performance to function. So it's like workarounds because you've got this.
So there are a few things are divided in like 2 or 3 different fashion, like BGP connectivity options. So some like I remember like VNet, the Microsoft Azure does not support BGP over GRE, and AWS support BGP over LAN, and of course BGP over IPsec. So you might have some connectivity options. Customer have it. Their router is running on back of the firewall. Any other use case, you can't run any IPsec on a VNet on Azure. So all kind of options are not available across the cloud. That's one point. And then of course the large number of routes you cannot scale. That's the design principle we talk about. And exchange of the route from CSP in the regions, not one CSP, it's multiple CSPs, multiple VPCs, thousands of VPCs, thousands of multiple regions, and all across the globe. And of course, there are some overlapping IP address for RFC 1918. How do you do that? How do you control that? If your partner is connected with RFC 19, which is overlap, of course, there is a solution to do that. You can put a NAT gateway or any other device, but that's another resource. And who's going to manage this complex environment? So that's also is not available. And if you deploy these controllers, there are you can control that kind of overlapping IP addresses. Does anybody advertised BGP, like example? I've done the lab, and somebody need to approve it. That's BGP. That's RFC 19 is you can track it down on the controllers, and you can see this IP address is not duplicate, and then you approve it, and that can be advertised. So you have a lot of controls I'm talking about, and of course the traffic engineering and user control and management control plane. So and whatever the new CIDR, you need to have some kind of notification, email notification. This is CIDR is coming. You're going to approve it or not. So, and of course the simplification. This is we are like SD programming of route tables, and this is not a one single cloud. We're talking about multi-cloud orchestration. And aside from the last main important part, utilization, flow, ping, trace route, packet capture, topology, all across multiple clouds. How do you manage it? What is available? It's very complicated.
So for those of you that are not used to what he's talking about with regards to packet capture, in my youth, I was called Sniffer Boy. For my first 6 months, I literally ran around with a laptop with a protocol analyzer on there, plugged into span ports on LANs and tried to look for things. And I'd find, stuff that wasn't supposed to be there. Napster was using up, a $50,000 a month internet connection, all kinds of cool stuff like that. But we also need you to know what's being blocked by where. We basically got almost no options on the cloud. Yeah. But, we need it in the data center. Where you don't have a span port in the cloud so to stick your sniffer in. So Aviatrix is giving us this. So he's talking about real diagnostics, improved performance because it's software-defined networking, improved security. What else, Imran?
Yeah, and improved security is one of the key thing, and improved security in all aspect on like a deep defense, improve security on access level, improve security on firewall level, and deployment level, and northwest, east-west traffic, and multiple options. Not only deploying the next gen firewall, and and of course very easy and agile. I deploy this next gen firewall and then Terraform just 2 lines of adding the Terraform code, and you can easily deploy that next gen Palo Alto firewall on that VPC wherever you want it. So security is the key thing. Of course, all the data is in the cloud. The applications are moving on the cloud, so different level of security. You can segment it because you're migrating from cloud. You can segment like we used to do this VRF. You can segment yellow, blue, and green segmentation, and you provide a connection policy. I don't have a diagram. We more describe more better, and you can do it by easily from the controller. So if you move from green to green VMs from the on-prem to the cloud, you're already on the same security control, so you don't have any issue. You just move that security segment, move that machine to that green machine or yellow, whatever it is, and you provide this connection. So segmentation is also very important. And of course, you can't deploy a firewall because of the costing, because of complexity. So it's a combination of security, and we call it like security in all aspect.
Thinking about it, you got an organization that's got 1,000 VPCs, and you need 2,000 next generation firewalls. That's getting pretty ugly. Correct. Now you need a firewall in and out to the internet. Do the right thing. Use something that's going to self-heal, self-adapt. Use a next generation firewall. But it totally makes sense.
Yeah. So I think back to this, you have to understand the business requirements. That's one of the key things is when you design what business is looking for, what kind of security end to end, and what kind of visibility, what kind of encryption, what kind of basic design principles, that design architecture, design pillars, how the design pillars like availability, security, of course, operational look like. So follow the same principle which you use to do that. But of course, you need to have a tools. You need to have a right things and planning and deployment of those devices.
And it's all business requirements. It all comes down to the business requirements, which is why I don't love reference architectures. Correct. I like planned architectures, but people say, Mike, can't you give me a printout of the 10 architectures? And I say no, because I don't know what the business needs. I don't know what the business wants. I don't know what problem I'm going to solve. And that's one of the most critical things for the cloud architect, especially from people coming from like the cloud engineering background. In engineering, we've got models that we use for a lot of things, and then it's the analysis and the deep technical things to figure out what to do. But as generally rule, there's a process for things. Like if Imran and I want to set up BGP, and we agree to things, what he's going to do in his house and I'm going to do in my house is going to be pretty similar. Engineers need a process, the methodology for accuracy. In our architecture world, it's like, Mr. Customer, Mrs. Customer, what would you like? Hey, here's what I noticed on your balance sheet. Here's what your customers and competitors are doing and asking for. It's a totally different thing. So, Imran, first, and I want to make sure we get some questions answered. What a wealth of knowledge, and thank you. So,
thank you.
If you can gather how strong Imran is, give me a hashtag Imran in the chat box. And then,
yes,
what we're going to do?
So,
we're going to ask some questions. You can ask him questions, me questions, Elonzo questions, Chris questions. Hey, and why not? Elonzo's a great architect. You ask Elonzo this question, he's going to point it to another network architect, me or him. But I think, Imran, were you going to say something?
Yeah. So I think when you say reference architecture, you want to pinpoint the single cloud, multi-region, multi-account. You need to have some kind of reference architecture which is repeatable network design, infrastructure as a code, and of course, service insertion, firewall, and consistent security policy. And of course, the common operational visibility, and that's Aviatrix really provide multi-cloud, multi-region, multi-account, and consistent all across and common operation tools. So they have this common architecture platform in a multi-cloud.
And you need that because if you have Google Cloud Armor, Palo Alto's thing, a Fortinet thing, a Cisco thing, a WAF on this VPC, but something else, a checkpoint here, and you get hacked, where's it coming from? How do you manage the policies? Then you're going to have stuff that's so different, and then the workarounds you're going to have to do are there. Which is why I say don't use proprietary surfaces, period.
Yeah. So they call it multi-cloud network architecture, and they are the one who developed this, the first one, and it's repeatable, to be very honest.
Now, given the trends, so Imran, you've been around building high availability, high performance systems. Have you ever designed a high performance system with a single wide area network or internet service provider?
Sorry, you're asking me? Sorry.
In the last 20 years of big banks or service providers or healthcare systems or anybody that demanded 5 nines availability, have you ever seen any of them use a single network provider, WAN provider, or service provider?
No.
Would anybody now on the cloud? Is it safe to use a single cloud provider?
No, not at all. Because there are so many outages all across, not on the AWS, Azure, and GCP. So they all saying no. All the customers we met to talk, no, we'll go for the single cloud. We are not, but they are moving to multi-cloud very fast. Absolutely, because of compliance, because of availability, because of course enhancement, and some of the application as well, like.
It just has to be. There's no other option.
Correct. And the more clouds you add it, the more complexity you have it, and you have a skill gap. People hardly understand the cloud, single cloud, and everything is have a different constraint and different issues. So how do you troubleshoot? Go hop by hop, and you're opening those kind of tabs from TCP to Azure to this. So you need some kind of single pane of glass, which provide you the enterprise grade visibility or enterprise grade security. Yes.
And then I'm going to bring this up. I advise my students, when possible, don't use a proprietary anything.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that if you use AWS WAF, Cloud Armor somewhere else, you've got a security nightmare. Even if any one of them are good, use the same Palo Alto, the same checkpoint, the same Fortinet. Hey, on your database, you can't use DynamoDB here and Google Cloud Bigtable somebody else and Microsoft Cosmos somewhere else and try to get them to work. No, you can't. But you can use MongoDB across 3 clouds. So, when it comes to architecture, high availability, high performance, 50% of the things that are taught in certification are proprietary. You can't use them anyway.
Correct. And people ask me why I use Aviatrix, why I'm learning this and certifying. I think my answer is you have to live in the public cloud. The rest will go away. So at least we are touching the public cloud in every aspect of the public cloud. So the private cloud and other stuff will go away, of course, because of the agility of the cloud. Yeah. And there are other companies are chipping in to fill those gaps.
Yeah. So now we're working around solutions, but look at innovation. We start. We've got a product. We get feedback on the product. We improve the product. We get more feedback. We improve it. We get it again. I mean, it's all new versions of the same thing. Wasn't there a song, Meet the New Boss, same as the old boss? Was that the Who, or was that the Rolling Stones?
Absolutely. So once we have the time, we can have maybe a next session or multiple session. We can have some kind of demo, whatever the picture we are showing, the real demo,
Well, that brings us into the questions.
Yeah.
And when you get into the questions, I think you're already reading people's mind, Imran.
Yeah. So we can deploy by using this AWS, Azure, and that by simple deploying without the automation. We can have automation deployment. We can have a multiple series of deployment and how to destroy this, because that is really costly if you're talking to students. So how to destroy these things when you finish a lab.
Hey, I will watch anything that involves destruction at the end.
Yeah. I think that's what we will cover off for the organization when we start our course, the cloud engineering course. I will chip in what kind of accounts you can create and how do we do this design thing. I love to discuss the design part. I know it's not a architect thing, but understand the designing for the VPCs is very important. You can't deploy anything without any planning. So I will insert some kind of a designing on the cloud engineering program and walk through with some real use case. Because a company ABC or Mike have 3 or 4 applications. How do you deploy those VPCs? What are the planning? No matter are you using what calculator, subnet calculator, what are the CID are available, and how do you drill down with the different VPCs? And of course, you deploy it by doing on a console or a Terraform. So,
okay, I just have to say something here for a second. Does everybody see why Imran, as part of my cloud engineering program, as an instructor?
Yeah.
Because the stuff that's in the
Wait, Imran's doing what now?
He's helping teach a cloud engineering program.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. Well, there's an announcement for you.
Yeah. So, he's helping with some time periodically as a good friend. And so here's the exciting part of that. He talked about teaching the engineers architecture and how to design it. Wait, what's the difference between an engineer and an admin person? An engineer understands how it works. They've got a deep, strong foundation. They know how to tune it, how to optimize it, how to make it dance, sing. And the engineer also knows how to build it. But it's that engineer's that deep knowledge. So it's knowledge of, okay, here's the cloud piece. Here's the Linux piece. Here's how we deploy 1,000 things and take down 1,000 things at the same time so you don't get a huge bill. Here's how we tweak this. Here's how we secure this. So it's not just for anybody. Hey, so certification won't get anybody a cloud engineer job either, because you still need to know the competency that's not covered there. Cloud admin is this. Click, click, click here on the management console. It's a different career.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to hijack your architect session in my cloud engineering, Mike, but that's
Please
really,
do.
we need to have some kind of understanding from the students' perspective, why they are doing the click, why they are making this VPC, what is the rationale behind it, what is the business requirement, have this kind of a VPC, why we have a different apps, 3 apps, 4 apps, and what is the future planning, CIDR, you leave it for that. And once we do this, so that will be a more understandable perspective, not only deploying and getting the certs.
And Mark Sansom, Chris knows everything. He's just joking around. He had me announce it in class this morning.
Well, yeah, that's to the class. This is the whole world. Yeah.
Well, the class. I told how many people in class this morning. The whole world already knew by the end of the day.
Hey, let me do my thing.
That's fine. We're gonna
don't wreck my flow. All right.
But yeah, so Chris is having fun with us here. So let's bring in some questions, Chris. And
right. So before we get to the heavy hitting question, there was a question that just came in asking if we had a and it came in the middle of the bots. So I got to find it. Okay. It says, do you have a cloud security engineer course? So,
and actually it says, do you still? And I saw.
Yeah,
we've never had a cloud security engineer course ever.
No.
We have a cloud architect course, and we create some cloud network architects, and we create cloud security architects. And last week, you can see Delroy Batt, a wonderful, fine young man. He just turned 25 years old. We got him his first cloud security architect job, and he came to us with no background or experience. And he is the wonderful cloud security architect. But we have a cloud security architect background for a reason. I've done a lot of network architectures, security architectures, and enterprise architectures and cloud architectures in my world, and I teach the architect course. I've never been a security engineer, and therefore I can't teach a security engineering course. And the people that are building our cloud,
we've never had any material on our website that says we've got a security specific anything.
Yeah. Now,
can I chip in?
Security architect jobs, yes, but cloud security engineer jobs. I'm not a security engineer. I've been a network engineer.
But that's not to say that a student can't take the engineer program and decide they want to learn security.
Of course they can. They'll become great cloud security engineers. And even today, in the cloud engineering course, which I actually taught some security things, I went deeper into demilitarized zone design and firewall strategy and hardening of the network systems than would be covered in the CISSP curriculum. And then I'm going to think.
Yeah. So if there is, can I chip in, Mike? So if there is a demand, we can add few modules on our engineering program, or maybe we can develop a separate program for security. I don't know. It's up to the Mike. We can bring a lot of security stuff. We're already teaching that security.
Yeah, I mean, there's already security in the program. We just don't create specific programs for specialized tracks. We have two general programs, and it's always been a general program.
Yeah, but there are, I think maybe people are asking because there are some specialty in AWS for network and security. So maybe they are referring to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a difference between, and the reason we can do the security architects is simple. I've designed secure systems forever. We don't have the Palo Alto firewalls, the Fortinet firewalls, the checkpoint devices, etc., that are really necessary for cloud security. And truth be told, there's nobody out there that does right now that's actually teaching it. So, but I believe it would be necessary to have that equipment. But that doesn't mean we won't build the cloud security engineer course in the future.
Absolutely. So I'm about to say that can be achievable if there is a demand. If you see the students are demanding specific core, we can have integration of firewalls in the cloud and on-prem cloud to off-prem cloud. We have different tools, EVNG. We can do on the on-prem kind of stuff, all kind of firewalls on the EVNG platform, and we can integrate this with the cloud. So that's not a problem for answer your audience, but it depends on it's a mic if you need to go for that. If
there's enough demand and we can, Imran, get the best people on it, all I care is I don't want to be like our competition who gets 10x certified, teaches 10 different things that they don't know anything about. I want to make sure that my students get someone like you, or my architects get my 25 years experience. I just want to know that whatever we deliver is the best in the world at the lowest price we can afford to do it.
Yeah, security is by DNA, by default, is part of our program. So
yeah, we go heavy into security. Yes,
absolutely. The IAM, the accounts, the organization AWS. That's all security.
It's kind of funny. One of my students in the architect program said, I got my CASSP. I spent one day glazing over the book to what you taught me in class. And I went, well, yeah, that's minimum level knowledge. We have to get there. That's, in my mind, entry level knowledge. So yeah, we do a lot of security, but please understand, my world is I want to make sure that we have the ability to produce gold medalists in everything we do. Chris will tell you how extreme I am. Elonzo will tell you how extreme I am. Want to know how extreme I am?
I was going to say we got some questions we can get to. I thought you were stopped. I think I got a delay on my end, so
okay.
I'll let you keep going, but we got questions we can get to. So
okay.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. Let's get some questions.
All right. So I'm just going to forewarn you. You started off saying y'all were going to get geeky, so we got geeky.
Good.
And so Khalid asks, how can I advertise VPC routes over a direct connection to an on-premise network over BGP? Hopefully you guys understand that, because
we definitely do.
All right. I'll let y'all have that one.
This one I actually could answer. Do you want to handle it, Imran, or do you want me to handle it?
Go ahead, handle it. Yeah.
So on our router, we're going to basically have IP connectivity. And then we're going to go to the Cisco router. Hey, wait, I want to see if I can do some cloud engineering, cloud network engineering. And we're going to go to router, and we're going to type router, BGP, and our autonomous system number. Let's say 65314. The next thing we're going to do is, depending upon link, is we're going to enter a neighbor statement. And we're going to do a neighbor, and whatever, it's going to be the far end IP address, and it's going to be remote autonomous system, whatever the cloud provider's autonomous system number is. Then we're going to determine what routes we want to advertise in that college. My student, I know he wants the nitty gritty. And we're going to do a network statement, which is going to be the prefix that we want to add. And it's going to be a network, say 10.1.0.0 with a mask of 255.255.0.0. Now we're also going to do this. We're going to determine which routes we want to accept from the cloud provider. And we will create a filter so we don't allow any other routes other than our own. Because that way, if they get hacked and try to inject us bad routes, we won't have a BGP hijacking situation or minimize the damage. So we're gonna take care of that in case the man-in-the-middle attack. Then what we're gonna do is we're going to advertise whatever specific prefixes that we went over that link. We'll probably create something called an aggregate address, which is a summary address. And if I remember how to do it, it's aggregate address 10.0.0.0 mask 255.255. Or 255.0.0.0, and if we want only that route, we'll say somewhere only. But if we don't, we just don't do that, and then that should give us the aggregate address, which we're going to use for multi-links. And then I think, Imran, you had told me I have to activate the neighbor, which is like the neighbor at the far end with an activate command, and that's it. Your BGP should be actually coming up routes. Did I miss anything there, Khalid? I'm sorry, Imran. I wanted to see if I could remember since I've been an architect.
You're very good. That's why. BGP relationship, of course, pairing with whatever the on-prem to your gateway to the VPC, and then you advertise the routes.
The reason I wanted to see if I could still do it on this one was as following.
No, I see your BGP blog yesterday. That's very good. So
thank you. I just wanted to see if I could do it because when I was an architect, engineer 25 years ago, I did it all day long. And then I became an architect. And as architects, we design, present, and sell. So I didn't really configure anything until I was showing it to my students 6 months ago. It's been that long since I configured it. So I was hoping I could still do it. Imran could do it in his sleep. And you should see the complexity he can get to. I think it's all these questions are headed for you now, Imran.
I think Imran says that you've passed the interview, Mike.
That's
Mike have a number before me, so 12,000. His number is 7,000. So
I know Elonzo had a question for you. I'm gonna let Elonzo ask his question about the CCIE.
Oh
yeah.
Man. Okay. Yeah. What was I gotta remember? So okay,
I remember it. I'll ask it for you.
Okay, ask it for me. I forgot what I
wanted to ask him. What was it really like to take the real deal?
Yes,
2-day, like truly testing your knowledge.
Exactly.
CCIE exam. He wanted to ask Imran what his experience was like.
Yes.
In preparing for and completing the assessment.
Yeah, you took that crazy exam. Did you take that crazy one, or were you smart enough to take the next one? I took the crazy one.
No. That's quite stressful. Of course, that's very extensive kind of thing. And earlier it was a 2-day thing. Then they split for now 8 hours, and sitting in 8 hours for doing the labs. I think that there are 200 items you need to do.
Wow.
In limited time. I think that if you have 2-3 days, you might be able to do that on 8 hours. And earlier than when you have a 2-day troubleshooting, you finish one day and you come back and they'll tell you you're allowed to come in second day or not, because if you did it good on the first day one, you're allowed to go the second day. And then of course
Imran, what was the fee to actually
take 16? Now at this moment I can tell you the $1,600 for the exam fees for 8 hours plus the written exam, $400 plus your flying flying to whatever is Pacific. I went to North Carolina, RTP, to take my exams. I'm flown to Sydney as well to take the exam.
Wow.
So it's a big cost. It's a big
cost.
commitment. And of course, when I was in Cisco, I have 3 attempts to allow from Cisco perspective. But when I passed the exam, I was not in Cisco. I was earlier than Cisco. So now at this moment, so the 8 hours, and now they have added a design section, 3 hours of design section, and 5 hours of the labs, and it's very time constrained. Yeah, so it's really stressful kind of stuff. It's not very easy. So
Yeah,
it was.
But of course, it will reward you once you have that on your plate, the number. So
Yeah.
I did my first one 2003, and the second one after 10 years, 2013. Your number remained the same, but you have a multiple technology. I did for route switch and the data center.
Do you have, when it comes to like all the other like cloud service providers, you have to re-up every 3 years? What is the shelf life of a CCIE?
Like you can do like every 18 months, you need to recertify the written exam, not the lab.
Okay.
Just the
Okay. Yeah.
Totally
I was gonna
fine.
say, you gotta-
so bad.
You know,
You need to keep maintain your license.
Okay.
wow.
every
Yeah, for
18
10
months,
years,
2
and
years.
after that, you get to keep it as emeritus.
Emeritus. Yeah. I'm still active. I've been more than 10 years, more than
I love
15 years. So I'm still active, because if you work for a partner, they might need your number. So
Okay.
and I keep writing something to learn something, because now they have started the DevNet CCIE, consists of Python programming, all kind of stuff. So
Sounds horrible. The thought of code.
That sounds.
If I had a code, I think I'd immediately go to practicing medicine or veterinary medicine. I don't like the code.
So they keep updating, and of course the lab sites are very minimum now, mostly only on Richardson at this moment, and the rest of the America they bring your own device kind of a concept. Sometimes in New York and earlier, otherwise before they have RTP California and maybe another place I cannot call it.
So I'll add a little commentary to the 2-day CCIE, because I remember it like it was yesterday, because it's like one of those flashbulb memories, like your wedding, you never forget.
In a good way or a bad way?
In a good, well, both. It was a good way because I passed it. But I remember being in there, and on the first day, they give you this complicated scenario. And they know it's not going to work. It's intentionally designed not to work. And they ask you ridiculous questions that you have to know exactly what they mean in order to do it. Make sure this part does not get any LSAs coming out of this interface. But make sure you can put some external routes in, but you're not allowed type 5 LSAs. And if you don't know that it's not just the Bay Area, you instantly just failed the exam. And that would be like one of the 20 things they would have you design. And then they'd give you the instruction manual, which should say, here, if you don't know how to configure it, don't worry, because if you don't know how to design it or build it, doesn't matter, you'll never be able to build it. So you go there the first day, there was like 12 people there. The next morning, they'd basically, hell, Mike, you get to continue your exam. The 11 other seats were empty.
Wow.
It was that bad.
It's a lot of wet cement in the parking lot, and it wasn't even raining that day.
And so then you spend the next morning doing something. Okay, great. You made it to here. Now we got to add some ridiculous, silly thing on top of it. So then you build it, and then you'd feel good and secure, right? And then you went to lunch, and they had the troubleshooting thing. They would unplug your wires. They would change your access list, your distribute list. They'd change your BGP sessions. And then you had a period of time to go fix it. And then it was like, you had to have such good fundamentals in those days to be able to fix it, because you had to troubleshoot it. And you can't troubleshoot what you don't understand, just like you can't design what you don't understand.
And that's why they made the big bucks.
And one thing I forgot to mention, when I was doing, when Mike was doing, there is no there is a real hardware you need to buy. There is no virtualization. Now everything is virtualized. You can do everything on EVNG and do any kind of a lab. But at the time, like I bought so many hardware for 2500 series, 3600 routers, all kind of hardware on my basement. So that is another cost. I forgot to tell you. So yeah, at the time, now it's very easy. You just need to buy a server and EVNG. Everything will be virtualized. You can do this. So that's another cost.
I
So
spent
$40,000
preparing.
So we got. I'm going to wrangle you guys back in so we can get to some more questions from the chat. So Z here asks, does VPC keep the standard of the network? And I think this is when we were talking about Aviatrix specifically.
AZ Wall.
And so I'm not.
VPC is a virtual private cloud for the AWS construct only. But the same concept, if you go to the Azure, we call it VNet. So every cloud have a different naming convention, and VPC is a virtual private cloud in an AWS perspective. Did I answer?
Yeah, I think you did a great job.
Yeah. All right. Then, so let's see. Here we got from Sean. Sean asks, if you have point-to-point connections to branch offices, would you use MPLS? I hope y'all aren't waiting on me because we're going to be.
I'd ask Sean, what are the performance requirements? Meaning, could you use a VPN? Or could you use a private line? Or are you getting a cheaper price with MPLS over a private line? When a customer buys MPLS, they're either buying that cool BGP VPN that Imran and I know and love, specified by RFC 2557, that VRF concept, or what they're doing is they're typically getting a pseudo wire for which they do Ethernet over MPLS. So whether you do that or whether you do a private line, it's going to be the same performance, whichever is cheaper. But how would you respond to that, Imran?
Yeah, I think for the new concept for the SD-WAN, transport is not it's important. So they are replacing the MPLS with the broadband connection because they are cheaper, and of course in SD-WAN you control the routing. The routing is not controlled by the ISP, so they are get rid of the MPLS. It depends on the construct. So of course MPLS very robust, have been used all across, but for new branches, people are moving to the SD-WAN cloud or SD-WAN service. MPLS is not the main transport. The broadband, the primary link, or maybe a MPLS for the voice traffic or other traffic will be the broadband. So because of the cost, because of the flexibility with the service provider. So
yeah, and I have to the degree that you have, Imran, but SD-WAN is giving us almost MPLS like WAN performance.
So what I'm hearing from you guys is it depends on the customer and their business needs.
That's
correct.
What do I need to be able to do to figure that out? Communicate.
Most critical skill for a good architect, or honestly, the difference between an engineer and a distinguished engineer, which is a good $200,000 a year pay difference, is communication skills and a little bit of technical depth, but mostly communication skills, business acumen, CXO relevancy, etc.
Yeah, I mean, I'm joking, but I'm also being serious at the same time. Everything I just heard was it depends on this or that, or so always. There's no one size fits all.
One of my customers, they have MPLS, and they are moving out from the WAN to broadband circuits or all their branches because of the cost, and they're changing the service provider. So people are moving out, but within the service provider, of course, their backbone MPLS cloud connected together. We're talking about branch perspective. People are moving out to broadband because of the cost and other stuff.
All right. So Al has a good point here, I think. Al says, so is Aviatrix like the secret sauce solution for hybrid cloud deployment?
That's a nice way of putting it.
Well,
What are your thoughts, Mike?
Yes,
and
not
Imran?
for the hybrid cloud, is for not only for hybrid clouds, for the multi-cloud as well.
So it can be used for both hybrid and multi, not
Correct,
just
correct,
So
correct.
you can it can be used for on-premise and
Correct. That's what
cloud.
the diagram shows, whatever we shows. So
Awesome.
there are appliances you deploy on the on-prem, and you deploy the gateway. So
this is, like he says, the secret sauce that's been missing to
a
make it.
hybrid cloud concept we might be go away, but definitely the financial and other companies, they still want to keep some kind of a data center. So but they are moving away for sure, because of the footprints, because if you have the similar security functions in the public cloud, of course, because of agility and other stuff, so they're moving away. So,
and the hybrid cloud is much less complicated than the hybrid multi-cloud, because in one case it's traditional WAN networking almost, but not really, and then you have all those limitations that Imran talked about. When you go multi-cloud, that WAN is much more complicated to manage, and you need a lot more guidance, and the Aviatrix really gives you that information. I think the Aviatrix solution is terrific. Hey, give me a hashtag Aviatrix, everybody.
Woo! All right.
You can bring in the next one. Imran, great job answering that.
So the next one is from Eugene. Eugene is an amazing participant here. So Eugene says a CDP or LLDP can also help you map out the network to know what devices there are. I'm guessing that's a question about comparing it to what we were talking about.
Yeah, so I'm going to provide my perspective, and Imran's going to provide his, because they're going to be different. When I was a young little bear, I'd go to my routers and map out a network, show CDP neighbors. I'd hop from one router, I'd hop to the next router. Now, the reality is now, do you let CDP or Cisco Discovery or LLDP enabled on your routers? If you enable this on, a hacker that can get access to your network and go map out your network. So in many cases, I would shut this off. But it also makes you lose diagnostics. So that's how good is your architectural diagrams and your as-built engineering designs. How about you, Imran? Are you still seeing CDP or LLDP anywhere?
No, not really. Disabled because of the security thing. Yeah.
But boy, it was helpful at the time when we were getting hacked a whole lot.
But yeah.
So
you map out the network as NMP or something else, not for CDP or LDP on a network management thing.
All right.
And sometimes you turn it on just to see what's going on or troubleshooting. But typically when you're securing the hardcore devices, the things are off. So
this has reignited my desire to learn more network. Definitely.
But that kind of level, the questions Eugene's asking, you know what he's thinking about, and I love that.
Yeah. So I got, where did it go? I can't find it. Here it is. This one's actually come in a couple of times from different people.
Imran for president.
I'm good with Imran for president. I know Imran. I know what's in his heart. I know what it's in his mind, and I trust him. Yeah, I'm good for Imran for president.
I don't know if he wants to deal with that craziness. But
he got a straight face, like
Yeah.
I don't want this.
He's playing this one close to the chest. He might have some plans. Who knows? Oh, there we go. Yeah, there we smell it.
I can smile it.
Yeah. All right. Where is this question? So I saw it. Mark asked a question. He says, can we do an Aviatrix lab?
Yes, we can do that. Aviatrix.
So if we want an Aviatrix lab, you know what you got to do in the chat box.
Hashtag Aviatrix Lab.
There we go. So give us a hashtag Aviatrix Lab if you want us to work on an Aviatrix Lab for you. And by we, I do not mean me. Actually, I might be the business case, and they can ask me the questions. I always need
a CEO, so it's either going to be you or Elonzo.
All
Great
right.
Great
Student Mile always
requirements.
feels like he needs to be the CEO, so I often use her as the CEO.
I didn't hear any of that. I just heard CEO and hey,
I said, usually if I need a CEO, it's going to be you. It's going to be Elonzo. I said I had the student Marlet that just seems like such a business leader. I could see her as the CEO.
Yeah, well, you could. Yeah, she could be. Yeah, she's gonna be running Wall Street one day, probably.
Oh my God, she's so smart. We've got lots of people, but her leadership skills are amazing.
Yeah,
All
Marvelous.
right, here we go. Okay, so this one's geared towards Imran because he's more familiar with Aviatrix. So Al asks, he says he's on the Aviatrix website. Noticed you have a few certs. Any recommendations what Aviatrix cert would help to add to a cloud architect career development?
Notice there. Yeah, I think we can start from the basic one, the multi-cloud network associate. That's the basic one you can start, and then you continue your journey for the professional and infrastructure as a code, and there is operation course as well.
And I'm assuming Al is asking for actual knowledge learning, not just.
Okay, so
I'm assuming that's a strong assumption on my part.
So, at what level did they start teaching design in the Aviatrix curriculum versus configuration and infrastructure as code, the cloud engineering stuff? Because I was an architect person.
They teach extremely good, and of course, the associate level you have to understand the basic cloud function, the cloud construct, all because you're all deploying on top of the cloud. You're deploying your gateways, controllers on the public cloud, so I have to understand the cloud engineering first before you go to that thing. And of course, there are a lot of hands-on on the professional, a lot of hands-on on infrastructure as a code, is a combination of hands-on design and associate level.
Yeah, so Al, I know you. I probably wouldn't be focusing my time on this because once you get to that design expert level, it's there, but you're going to have to learn so much in order to do this. It's going to take you out of, because there's infrastructure and code, which means learning Terraform, which architects don't touch.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of hands-on building, which we architects don't do. So I would learn how the Aviatrix works.
Correct.
And how other software-defined networking and SASE solution works, Al. Yeah. I would truly master the BGP. I would truly master the knowledge. And I would let my engineers and say, yes, engineer, this is really good. Because remember, Al, you get more than 3 certifications on a resume and nobody wants you as an architect.
So,
the 6 certifications on your resume, they like you as an engineer.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And the key thing is you have to understand the networking of the cloud before you go to that. So if you understand the basic native constructs, what are the key things for networking for AWS or Azure, so you'll have a more good understanding for that.
All right, let's see the next question. Oh, it went away. Here it is. Okay, so let's see. It's not so much a question, it's a comment. Chris says, Mike, you are absolutely special. You have my ultimate reverence and admiration all the way. I'm assuming he appreciates what we're doing
thank
here.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for your really seriously very grateful.
Thank you. And then let's see, Tech D here, and I believe this is Dustin, because he's on YouTube also. He said he made a comment earlier. He said he's on YouTube and Twitch because he's not going to miss anything. But he says his goal is to become a cloud security engineer. So,
and I think that's a good goal. First, learn the cloud, and then learn security, and they're 2 very separate things. Don't waste your time on an AWS Advanced Security. It's not even an intro to junior level security. Make sure you learn security. So firewall concepts, intrusion detection, what next generation firewalls do. You know, how to actually secure a system. How to hack into a system would be good knowledge too. You know, the security tools that are out there, the kind of anti-malware protection. This is security knowledge for cloud security engineering. It's not covered in the certification.
So our next one is a 2-parter from CEO Trell. He says, if we have on-prem connection to the cloud and using AWS site-to-site VPN with private link to connect to one AWS VPC, which hosts a third-party SaaS, sending bidirectional traffic. What are other methods to secure this WebSocket request from the data center to the VPC, which hosts the third-party SaaS solution? If you need me to, if you want to go down those rabbit holes, I'm not sure how long that would take.
Yeah. So bidirectional. What are the other methods to secure this WebSocket?
Let's start with the first thing. How would you connect? Would you be using private link to connect sites, your data center to other sites, or would you use a VPN?
VPN.
Yeah, so you'd either use a VPN or a private line, not private link, right? Remember?
Yeah.
Private link is used to connect two VPCs together over the AWS network.
Yeah, I think
so you'd be using a VPN or a private line.
Yeah, so I think what he's asking how to secure it, or that's the ultimate question is.
Yeah, the ultimate question is what other methods to secure this WebSocket request from the data center to the VPC?
Yeah, so you can have if you're talking about the native construct, either you have some kind of a firewalling or a WAF between those, and then you have a more complicated, some kind of a layer 4 security on the Aviatrix, if you have that kind of stuff. So there are multiple options, native construct with a WAF, maybe a next-gen firewall, and plus maybe some kind of a gateway for layer 4 filtering and securing.
But why would you have a WebSocket request from the data center to the VPC? And if you did, it would be over your private line internally, so that it'd be over your private line. So it's pretty secure. And if you did have a web request, it could just be HTTPS, which would give you end-to-end encryption. So I'm not completely sure I understand what.
Yeah. So same here, Mike.
Sorry, I got distracted by bots again.
Yeah.
Thank you for dealing with
that. Leo was fast on that one. All right, let me get back over here.
I reported behind him, so.
Oh yeah, well Abigail did too. Boom! All those blue oranges coming in. All right, let me get back over here. There was from Mark. So Mark asked, does Aviatrix work with Terraform?
Absolutely. Infrastructure as a code, Terraform Cloud. You can't live. There are three things I always say to my students or junior engineers. First thing, automation, and the second, the cloud, and of course the security, ACS I call it, automation, cloud, and security. And on automation, of course, the Terraform is the key thing. Yeah.
And that's really the thing. And that's why there's specificity between careers. I'm an architect.
Yeah.
I'll never use Terraform. I'll never configure anything. But if I don't know how to design, present, and sell, I'm fired. But you can't be an engineer without knowing Terraform or some form of infrastructure.
Correct. For becoming an architect, you just use your DevOps engineer to do that. But you have to provide what are the EC2s what are the gateways you're going to deploy.
Yeah.
Give them an architect and they can deploy for you. So.
And that's why you need a team to do this. Imagine trying to build 1,000 VPCs and build them up and tear them out manually. Yeah. I mean, or you've got one DevOps engineer that can do it like that.
And for sometimes architect we don't need it, but sometimes for architect want to understand, you need to learn to teach something. Need to learn to talk to the DevOps engineer. So understand the APIs, what are the concerns are. And the good thing I learned from the courses, Terraform and GitHub, you can have this shareable and you can controllable DevOps, SecOps kind of stuff, and you deploy these kind of controllers by approving. SecOps will approve this to do that. So it's a lot of automation, and of course, automation is a need for this, and Terraform is needed.
That's why you need a team.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. Got a lot of comments about the Aviatrix Lab here. So that's good. I think I know what we'll be
I think
working on.
Imran and I can arrange this. I think I know somebody that can demonstrate this really well.
Yeah.
With excellent architecture and engineering skills. I think I can find somebody.
So CEO says thanks for answering. He asked as much as he could remember about the use case.
Well, still pretty good though.
I was going to say that sounds like it's very specific and came from a very
The
specific.
CEO Trell, I'd like you to think about the architectures we use in class for everything. That would cover that.
Yeah. So we don't have any more questions right now. Everybody's being kind of shy.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I think they're just taking all this great knowledge.
Yeah, there's a lot coming into their brains. If they're anything like me, they're soaking all this up.
I think Angelo asked an extraordinarily good question.
Yeah, just came in. Angelo says, how can we communicate the value of a tool like Aviatrix when budget is limited?
See, budget, when we deploy and when you go to the customer, the first thing is the requirement. What is your requirement? If you want to sacrifice, as I said earlier, you don't deploy a next-gen firewall in all across. So when you talk to the customer, budget is the key thing, and what kind of security they want. So business requirement is important. And you can have a mix and match of, you don't provide two HAs, you have a single point of failure if you're okay. So budget is always, and business requirement is always important, but what you're going to get from out of your requirement, I think is a business value versus your budget, and how complex if you have few VPCs, you don't need that kind of thing, but you have all across multi-clouds and you don't have any resources to manage and you have hundreds of VPCs. So definitely that kind of a tool is there.
Well, and I can give you another tip here, Angelo, and then I'll give you a different perspective, an executive perspective, which, they're a little different. I remember at one point I had a customer. They had issued a press release that was negative to my organization, and they realized how much that press release cost us. And they kept trying to tell me every day, Mike, why don't you pay me to take your stuff? And I'm like, no, that's not legitimate. Here's our price. Mike, why don't you pay me to take your stuff? You'll make more money. And I'm like, okay, this meeting's over. Ultimately, they bought it from me. But the point is if you've got two cloud providers and you can negotiate it against each other, you're going to get cheaper prices per cloud provider. Also, some of the problems that Aviatrix solves, software-defined networking and optimized WAN. Software-defined networking WAN is much, much, much cheaper than a private line optimized WAN, and it gives us similar performance. So in many cases, we're cutting the cost out of the WAN. Now, I'm not sure that it's more expensive to use one availability zone in AWS and one availability zone in Azure than it is to put two availability zones in AWS. Now let's talk about the networking performance and the encryption. 1.25 gigabit per second is nothing. And when we talk about without Aviatrix, the complexity that we have in a complicated environment, it's going to get so complicated they're going to need a bigger team of engineers. Where with Aviatrix, it's going to be much simpler and elegant. And while it's a costly solution, they're going to be able to get rid of people and they use less people, so it'll still save them money. And because we're dealing with something like this, where does that person actually need to be? It could be anywhere in the globe, and organizations can take advantage of that too. So, I 100% agree with all of the other things. I look at the world from a slightly different numeric perspective, and that's why I like to build things with someone like an Imran. He's got all the design knowledge and architectural capabilities. I got a little more of the executive world, and together we marry them together, and our customers want everything we have, and we're solving customer business problems. That's why you need a diverse team of people. Every kind of background you have. Somebody that went to this university and studied this. Someone that came from the hotel industry. Someone that came from a medical industry. When we all think differently, wow, we can come up with some cool solutions.
So one of the key thing what my customer is asking for compliance. So, people have multiple VPC, hundreds of VPC, and they have no idea who's talking to what. So there is not kind of control. So if you have that kind of a situation, of course you need some kind of a tool or to control that, and some kind of compliance. So there are some compliance requirement. You're forced to do that. So the budget is out at that aspect. So, but budget is important. But again, it depends on the customer requirement.
Looks like Angela's got a follow up here also. Here we go. Oh, here we go. Angela asks,
this one.
what are the advantages and disadvantages of using quote unquote scare tactics to convince a customer to purchase a security solution? What are some good ways to convey value without scaring the customer?
Okay, I'm going to deal with this one because this is like all kinds of my ROI modeling wheelhouse. Yeah. Angela, I don't use emotion when I sell a product ever. I use facts, statistics. So I will tell you this. It costs between $150 and $200 per person when someone's personal information is compromised. So now let's take a business that has no budget for security, Angela, because there's plenty of them. Now they have 2 million people's records. Okay? 2 million people is nothing in the grand scheme of things. Now, let's also say that it costs $150 per data breach. This means that this organization has a $300 million security risk exposure. Now, let's say that organizations typically get hacked by once every 7 years. So we're going to divide by 7. Divide by 7. The organization's exposure financially is $42,857,143 every year in terms of this hacking risk. That's their risk. So now either they have some kind of insurance policy that they hedge against, which is a fortune, or they self-fund their insurance like a lot of businesses do. We're dealing with $42 million of risk per year. Now, Angela, when I've got a beautiful security architecture that costs $1 million, do they care? No. But if I try to go there and say, you don't want to use WAF because it's proprietary and it's not next generation and it doesn't stop attacks in their tracks, it can't heal like a next generation firewall from Palo Alto. But now I'm talking about dollars and I expose the risk of it. So, Angela, this is more the expected value of an opportunity, building a business case, and then working with the customer so they have no choice but to buy this and meaning it and being 100% authentic. That's my perspective. Do you have a different perspective on this, Imran?
No, absolutely right. The advantages, the cost value to the organization, they don't have a security posture at all. So that costs a lot more than, so customers already have convinced. If you do a scan using a Palo Alto or any other device, if we show them the vulnerabilities and threats to their CIO, there will be no techniques. They will buy a solution, whatever is available. So, yeah, and I remember Palo Alto used to do that. They run a scan. Okay, we'll come and do the scan for you, just free, and show them the report for the scan without disrupting anything. And customer love to buy what is the solution, how do they fix it. So.
Jeez, they're back again. Yeah, I was going to ask.
Glots are terrible.
Wow. Apparently, they really like networking, Imran. You got to watch out.
Hey, so I guess our networking bucks like BGP and Aviatrix Multi Cloud stuff, you know.
And I can't.
And security is also very important and deep. The defense in depth, they call it. So, and defense in depth means every aspect: port VPC, transit VPC, access layer, and how they communicate, single cloud, multi-cloud. So how do you secure that? And how easy to secure it?
Yeah. And then let's add one more thing to help you out in your business case, Angelo. If we're getting hacked, are our systems available? Generally not. So now, what's the level of intellectual property that's been lost? Which could be in billions of dollars for certain organizations. What's the level of business that's been lost while the systems are down? You start compiling that, and organizations realize the real cost of a security hole. It is huge.
And I want to chime in here, just from completely non-tech, just business and sales and scare tactics standpoint. At least in this role, in the roles that we're discussing here, you're going to be dealing with people that will spot that scare tactic for exactly what it is as soon as it comes out of your mouth, or as soon as they read the email, or as soon as they read the proposal or the presentation or the response or whatever it might be. They're going to realize it. So they're going to realize that for what it is, and that's not going to be good for the relationship.
It comes off as impulse buying pressure.
Right. It's not there's not a place for scare tactics at these levels.
Not at all.
Like there is for a car. You might not get the most secure car, or the most, what if your child, blah, 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 while they're driving the car. It's not. So scared, what might seem like a scare tactic in your mind, it's not actually a scare tactic. It's you being blunt and saying, here's what could happen to your business because we're talking about $5 billion. That's not a scare tactic. That's just being blunt and saying, here's what we analyzed, and here's your weakness that we want to prevent for you. I'm not trying, it's not scare tactic. It's just blunt. Now, if you try to twist and squeeze, then it becomes a scare tactic. But there's not a place for that. So
not at all.
Not every solution. Not every solution for every customer. The basic design principle is you need to buy in with your solution. Your business requirement need to map with your technical solution.
So Elonzo had a piggyback question.
Nectar System has something, because I'll explain to him because it's his grasp of it. He doesn't really completely get it. Because the way they described it, AWS and Oracle, Microsoft and Oracle, and businesses can't be using that the way they think it anyway. But I want to get to Elonzo first.
Elonzo, we talk about it. We kind of hit it. He was asking about good cop, bad cop tactics when presenting solutions. And again, at this level, I don't think
everybody knows. Everybody's seen every trick. They
have the emotional intelligence to just It's like
you can't lie or bluff to this audience.
Yeah, so.
That's
why I was going to say Elonzo had a question, but it's
already addressed, right?
So NetCure Systems asked, users can now migrate or build new applications on Azure and then connect to high performance and high availability managed Oracle databases services such as Autonomous Database running on OCI. So
let's talk about why this is not a high availability solution. You got your stuff in Azure. You're using WAN transport to Oracle. The Oracle cloud goes down and the entire business dies. So this is not a high availability solution at all. So anybody that really cares is going to have their AWS cloud or their Azure cloud and maybe their Oracle cloud, and they're going to be connecting them through an Aviatrix solution. And they're going to be running the Oracle databases in both places, or they're going to be running a VPN between them or a private line. So again, this is just two people. Now, what I do like here is Microsoft said, look, we're not AWS. We're not going to convince you that our Aurora is equivalent to Oracle. Oracle's been doing the database business forever. And Microsoft knows that Oracle probably does a better job than they could do. So Oracle databases, we're connected to you. It's a great solution. So that's a partner solution, which is great. But a high availability solution, this is still a single point of failure. All your stuff is in Oracle, and they've got a single point of failure. Now, if you run the Oracle database on a virtual machine, or virtual machines, not serverless in the Azure cloud, and virtual machines in the Oracle cloud, now you've got a high availability multi-cloud, high performance solution.
And he's got a follow-up question here. Says also, can you describe network connectivity at BOCI/Azure? I'm at a loss there.
What are networking options? VPNs, direct connections, software-defined networking, SASE. I'm missing any there, Imran? And that's why we have Aviatrix.
Yeah. Private line, internet, VPN, all kind of transport, and all kind of a connection. Yeah.
The same as we've been using for the last
VPN or Express Route in Azure. Yeah.
Yep. The only thing new is the software-defined networking, which is awesome, which is the separation of the control plane and data plane and all that cool stuff that Imran was talking about. But great question. Glad you asked it. Because the press releases, the way they sold it, made it sound really exciting. And then you had to look at it and peel back the onion and went, marketing people had their way with it.
So yeah, so that's third-party replication useful with multi-cloud. So I think this is just a comment. I'm not sure if this is a question.
Good. A lot of this stuff you can just synchronize natively.
Yeah.
But there are also tools for data synchronization based on when you want to put it. Could be potentially fairly helpful.
So I don't know about everybody else, but I've enjoyed this discussion. I'm gonna have to watch it again.
Yeah,
but
it was deep. It really gave you a lot to think about, a lot to consider.
Yeah. So I mean, I might go back and watch it, listening to Ace of Spades by Motorhead while I'm watching it, and you know.
I think Elonzo, when you see the real live demo, maybe coming sessions, whenever you feel like the powerful and your concept will be more clear. So I can say that.
Yeah. It's like I understand when I went through the Aviatrix and reviewed a lot of the content, but that was a while ago, and now I will be able to put all the pieces together and really understand on a deeper level how it works and how you're able to maximize that with multi-cloud. So I think that's going to be a great demonstration.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask everybody if they'll put another hashtag Aviatrix in the chat box if they enjoyed this as we kind of wind it down here.
Yeah, give us some Aviatrix.
Imran's gotta stop, and hey, he gave us 2 hours of his time. That's a pretty pricey. That's a pretty pricey 2 hours right there, right, Imran?
Yeah, Imran is an amazing engineer, network architect, cloud engineer, cloud architect. And that's really what it takes. Alonzo, you gave me my first Aviatrix, and Leo gave me my second Aviatrix. I'm loving this. Mark Simpson, great discussion, beautiful dog. AJP, Ura, and Aviatrix. Marla, Aviatrix, I'm so happy you're here. I want you to run for CEO or president or something like that. Great leader she is. Justin, tonight has been so great. You are so happy that Imran will be a part of the Gold Cloud team with us engineers. We are so lucky. I can't even begin to talk about how excited I am about Imran helping out. We did get really geeky today, Al. Pretty cool.
I love to be the part of this team. So can we have a quick chat after this as well?
Sure.
All right. Well, Mike, I'll leave it up to you to take it out.
Okay, so I hope you guys had fun. Yes, we went a little geeky. I took my CEO hat off. At one point, I put my cloud network architect hat on. And at one point, I took that off and put my network engineer hat on. And that was really fun because it made me feel 20-some years older, 30 years older, however young I actually was. So, yeah, and that's the key. The more you know, the more you don't know. And, let's really think about this. I've been doing career optimization forever. I've interviewed 6,000 people. I can find in 3 minutes about 1,000 people that know everybody else's job. When I interview them for my job, I can't find anybody. To find an Imran is a 1 in 10,000 interviews that you're going to do. And when we employers see it, we snatch it as fast as possible because it's just so hard. So that's why I really say master your career and not somebody else's, because the opportunity cost of your time, but also I'm not a vampire, although sometimes I wish I was. So I could live for 3,000 years and then I could learn every aspect of everything. It would be really cool, but I'm not a vampire. I'm going to live roughly 75, 85 years. That's kind of natural life expectancy. So I want to be good at what I do for my career, and I encourage everybody, be like Imran.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, team. It's really a pleasure working with you, and I'm still learning, as I said. So there's a lot of shortcomings. We all learning all together, and we keep continuing learning. And hashtag go clouds with Mike. Hashtag Mike.
Hey, you know what? Imran, give us a hashtag Go Cloud Careers. I'm all for that. Thank you if you wanted you guys to do that. So thank you all so much. It was fun getting down, dirty, and geeky. Before I'm supposed to remind you the following. Follow us on LinkedIn because we're going to be producing so many things. Magazine articles, how to interview articles, and I want you to catch them. Currently, we have 30% off all of our programs using coupon code Potential. And join us for the completely free How to Get Your First Cloud Architect Job webinar on Thursday this week. It's completely free. And oh, wait, aren't we online tomorrow at 9 a.m. answering people's questions, Chris, about their careers?
We sure are.
So
Right
we'll be
here on the
back at
same
9
channel.
a.m. if any of you guys want to know how to build your career.
Yep. So, all right. Well, I had a good night, everybody.
Same.
I had fun too.
I'm here.
Good night, everyone. Imran, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Can we stay on the same bridge, or we have a?
Let me call it.
Y'all get on a separate thing so I can start
I'm
downloading.
going to call you, Imran, in about 5 minutes.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Imran. We appreciate you, man.
Bye, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.